Hi, spots and cheap pops, ladies and gentlemen. This is Silicon Steve Valley, and I'm joined by Vladi and Valli, the reigning Purple Nurple champion. Jesus Christ. Just calling out one of the biggest people in the locker room a liar and a stooge. I mean, that's big. It's not like it's Colt Cabana making fun of him for having an account with his mother.
And it's true. We know that. We know Jericho's all good in terms of his banking systems. So with that's CM Punk really swinging in his weight class, because it's like an older guy with WWE history, a good guy in the mic, pretty good in the ring. You know, they both sort of fit the same mold.
They fought each other at WrestleMania one year for the World Championship. So these guys know each other very well, and they had a great match at WrestleMania.
But what I'm saying is, like, when Punk is around, Jericho has less, maybe is going to have a little bit less ability to get on TV as much.
That's probably definitely part of it. But Jericho shouldn't be insecure about that right now. He's clearly shown that he's going to get on TV as much as he wants. He probably has a bigger chunk of Tony's ear than any other person in the company. So it's just interesting that Punk called out Jericho specifically. Like, how did he know specifically it was Jericho? So there's obviously a lot more to this story and a lot more to the behind the scenes stuff in AEW. At the end of the day, we just need it's kind of like when you have a soda bottle and you shake it. They need it. If you open, it's going to explode. They need to let it chill. Just sit it on the counter and just let things die down and stop kicking it up. And we were this close to getting Punk back because his injury has got to be close to being fixed by now. We're about 7 months removed from that injury.
You can't tell me that the return of FTR doesn't have anything to do with a return by Punk.
That's a very, very fair point. I mean, obviously, that is something to do with it. And at this point in time, too, does Dax and Cash look at Punk and like, hey, dude, the fuck you do that for? Come on, man. We're trying to get this shit back together. Come on, man. And Punk's just like, I can't help it. I hate Dave Meltzer. And why are they talking to Chris Jericho? Why is Chris Jericho talking to Dave Meltzer? Does Chris Jericho not have anything better to do than to tell him his version of it to make me look like an asshole? Right. Chris Jericho apparently is number one on the hit parade of not bringing CM Punk back. You might be right. You think some personal jealousy or insecurity by Jericho is one of the reasons he's anti-Punk. I think he's anti-Punk because the all-out scrum was just a stupid, idiotic, destructive thing. And again, I love how he sticks up for himself and he fights what he believes, but at some point you have to be an adult too, right? It's
going to make for great TV, man.
Well, you would hope so. That's the thing. But that's what's going on with CM Punk and AEW. So the news and the bullshit keeps spinning. And we don't like to report 3,000 things that come out about CM Punk because a lot of times it's just bullshit and it's just clickbait. You look at secondary wrestling sites, always CM Punk news. It doesn't even mean anything. And it's just to waste our fucking time and get your clicks and waste your time. But when CM Punk does things like this, that is news. And he clearly still has a lot of axes to grind and wants to get his story out because he hasn't had a chance to really do that yet.
That'd be a great trios feud.
Well, we'll see. Because this is a good segue. Mm-hmm. Is Kenny Omega even going to be with the Bucks and such? What's going on? He's starting to have a couple of singles matches here. He's defending the IWGP US Championship against a very good big man in Jeff Cobb coming up this Wednesday. But let's not. He had a great match with Vikingo, and I thought this would be a great segue, Vladi Dottie, to get into not only what Kenny did this past week against the son of the Viking El del Sur, whatever, Vikingo. The match with Vikingo and Kenny Omega. Kenny Omega is still as good as he's ever been. He is so good. You made a point. You think he's bulkier. I just thought it was one of the best matches we've seen on television in a long time, and kind of a reminder just how damn good Kenny is, and an introduction to a fantastic lucha libre, the AAA Ultimate Champion in Vikingo. So, wow, that was a barn burner.
Yeah, it was, you know what? It was a really good match. You know, I'm not going to go and nitpick it by any means, man, but if I had to say, like, personally, I sort of enjoyed the Ospreay match a little bit more, a little different style. But for what this was, it was good. And I got to give Kenny some credit, too, because it seemed like at points he was, like, slowing it down a little bit and, like, pacing this thing a little bit better, I think, than like Kingo would have done. So that added to it. Dude, there was a couple spots there where I thought maybe Kenny broke his neck. There was two in particular. And I really felt, and maybe I'm wrong on this, I don't know if it's because their height difference of like the way it was performed and maybe that impact of it, but because there is like Vikingo's not necessarily the tallest guy in the room here. And man, just the way that one off the turnbuckle, I thought he broke his neck.
He looked like he landed right on the crown of his head, like just directly on the crown, almost like how Biggie looked like when he landed.
Yeah, it just did not look good to me. And then there was another spot as well. I'm like, ooh, he's cutting it close there. Like, I couldn't believe that he didn't actually get hurt. Like, maybe he did. I mean, but he played it off, whatever. But yeah, there was a couple spots I was like a little bit concerned for a few seconds there. But yeah, a very good TV match. People complain no build, so other people think that who cares, just let them have the match. Yeah, impressive. I mean, Vikingo himself does very impressive luchador style moves. I couldn't necessarily say who I like between Rey Fenix and him. Mysterio.
Bandito's another one I would put up there.
Yeah, it's like
current day.
And Vikingo, like he just, I've seen one match of it. The move through the table, really dangerous and impressive.
Yeah.
Like he could have, if he hits that wrong, he's hitting the back of his head against the apron there.
It's like a 650 springboard 650 to the outside on the table, right?
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, he did a lot of crazy things. There's a couple of guys. Bandito was another one, but those two particularly that I didn't really hear of until they came to AEW because I don't watch Lucha Libre. But yeah, I thought the match itself was brilliant. And a great point of yours, Kenny Omega, he's going to be 40. He knows how to pace these matches and he knows how to get the crowd. And it was just so good. He had a good ratings grab as well for his match, because it was singles. Kenny Omega's a singles match is where you make money with Kenny. But at the end, my boy Don Callis, Vladi Dottie, who has been nothing but having one of the great courtships of a professional wrestler ever, as he continues to fawn over Takeshita. Well, the Blackpool Combat Club came out to jump Omega, and long lost friend, former tag team partner, and former rival Hangman Adam Page comes out, saves Kenny from the Blackpool Combat Club. But Don Callis acts like he got struck by Hangman Adam Page, trying to keep the division within the elite. So you see Don Callis finally, praise Jesus, Don Callis is finally getting an opportunity to do something here that he can sink his teeth into, because I dare say he really hasn't done a whole hell of a lot particularly since Kenny got hurt, obviously. But it's good to see Don Callis back to being the devious scumbag that he is, the carny scumbag. And it's good to see Kenny Omega back in the singles division. So you're starting to see the elite be interesting, which is, holy shit. It's been a while since we've seen that. Vladi Dottie, how you feeling about one of our favorites, Don Callis, getting back in the fray?
He's really jumped that up a few notches. And you know what? When he was basically telling Kenny to turn his back on the Bucks, I totally agreed with him.
I agree with him too. Show's got to go on.
Yeah, definitely. It's time to go their separate ways. See you later. You guys are holding him back.
100%. 100%. And I don't know if there's going to be does Kenny ever get back with Hangman Adam Page in the Elite here? I don't know if he does. He might go on his way. Yeah. And maybe they do an RVD Sabu thing with Don Callis, with Takeshita as being the Sabu part and Kenny being the RVD part, where you can have these two guys who are just beasts in the ring.
Yeah.
And you have one guy might stand out more than the other with Rob Van Dam and Kenny. And Takeshita could just be that guy. He doesn't really speak a lot of English, but goes out there and does banger matches and is kind of a henchman for Don Callis.
He's a really good enforcer, Japanese enforcer type, especially. Like, he has a good move set. Big dude, connects well. He's had some good matches. I got to say that.
Oh, he's had great matches. Every time he got a chance to get with somebody who can really go. And the funny thing is you look at the people he's wrestled, people who wanted to wrestle him. Bryan Danielson, Moxley, particularly Kenny Omega. He's wrestled the biggest stars in this company. MJF. Everybody wants to wrestle Takeshita. Everybody. He's going to be a big star. A lot of people are comparing him to Okada. I think he's more of a hybrid of Okada and Kenny together, but it would be very interesting to see Don Callis with Kenny Omega and Takeshita. The only thing is that if you look at the history of the Elite, their friendship has always been the first and foremost thing between Kenny and the Bucks. Does Kenny turn his back on the Young Bucks for the first time really ever? They had a little bit of a problem in 2018 when there was a inner Bullet Club war between Cody and Kenny, but they squashed that. And then, of course, the Elite went on to start All Elite Wrestling. And now Cody's wrestling and becoming the biggest name in the sport at WrestleMania this next week.
It's totally ironic, isn't it?
Oh, amazing. But it's just good to see the Elite doing something that's good, because it's been a minute. So thank you for that. And hopefully AEW can keep it up. Where do you see Takeshita, Callis, and do you see Kenny even staying with them, or does he go back? What do you think?
Kenny's going with Callis. That's my feeling. And that's going to be his enforcer kind of guy.
Maybe that could be.
You said it yourself. I mean, like, it makes sense.
Oh, it does. And I think they would be hilarious. I think they could do that kind of funny stuff that, and by the way, I love Bill Alfonso, but Don Callis is a lot better than Bill Alfonso is. So you can have some really great promos with Don Callis and a lot of funny stuff with give and take with, already you can see it, because there was, if you didn't see it, there was a video posted to social media with Don Callis welcoming Takeshita to Winnipeg. They had the big Japanese drum and they had flowers, and he's just like, oh my God, look at me. This is what happens when you go with Don Callis. Look at the pageantry here. Great stuff. And that's what we want to see. It's just, that's what we've been missing in AEW for a while. Just things that make sense and that are entertaining. So I'm really happy to see where we're at with that.
Yeah. Like, he needs some more involvement. I can see him helping Takeshita. And then I think if Omega's involved there, and then, who did I mention before? Like, to maybe mention to like join up with them? Was it Kota Ibushi?
I think you might have said Kota Ibushi. It'll be interesting to see, because Ibushi is a free agent, so he would be somebody that comes into the fray sooner than later. And you would assume if Kenny's going to take, that's the whole part, is Kenny staying with AEW. Now, we know he's got until, I think, September or November until his contract is expired. But that's a big part of where Ibushi is going to go, because Ibushi was offered a WWE contract back in the day, and I think he won didn't he win that one NXT tournament?
Yeah, which was really good, actually. If he didn't win, he came in second place.
I think they were going to try to put ZSJ over, but ZSJ didn't want to sign with WWE. I think that's what part of it was. Yeah, but either way, neither here nor there. Just a lot of good things ahead in terms of, I think, what we're seeing with AEW, and I'm starting to get excited for what they're doing, because we're seeing things we have not seen in a while. you so much for listening and watching High Spots and Cheap Pops. Hit the subscribe button, then please comment, share. Let's build this community, and thank you for getting us over 100 subscribers.